Now, music enhances life for millions of people across the globe every single day, but there is a band which many feel to encompass more than just entertainment or secular beliefs or a lot of the things that, modern music goes in for. This band was formed in 1990, and the band has gone on to win 4 Grammy Awards, and according to Billboard Box Score, sell 13.4 million albums in the USA alone. This band is fronted by visionary Maynard James Keenan and is known by the name of Tool. While this progressive metal, rock, prog rock, whatever you want to call them, group has many tracks which inspire, move, and make the listener think, today's focus will be on one song in particular and why every human being should apply the principles of thought and spirit set forth in this track, at least in Deathstroke 9's opinion. Welcome back, everyone. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about one of the songs that inspired me throughout my, since I've heard it till now, and continues to inspire me, and hopefully inspire millions across the globe. This is I am now getting into, I no longer really have a favorite Tool song, but when I first heard this song, I was like, holy, this is incredible. And there is so much that goes into this song, and I have done a lot of research on it. So this is going to be a little bit different than my normal dissection videos, where normally I just, read through the lyrics, and then I'm just like, hey, here's what I think as I'm reading them. Haven't really heard the song that much. But Lateralus is the name of an album, and I have that was my introduction to Tool. Really, was the Lateralus album, and I've heard the songs on there a lot more. Lateralus and Schism, I've heard them many times. So this video is going to be a little bit more of an analysis. It's still a lot of my opinions. So before we get into it, I would like to mention that I am a religious person. And because of that, I find a lot of spiritual meaning in this song. Now, some others might disagree with me, but I'm taking this song out of the context of Maynard or whoever wrote it and putting it into my own. And I'm going to say, even if you're not religious, this song is extremely inspiring. And I'm going to go through literally everything I found on this song, which is, this song has so much going for it. Yeah, without further ado, this is my dissection of Lateralus by Tool off the Lateralus album. Tool had previously released albums and one EP, which most fans found both angry and heavy, titled Opiate from 1992, Undertow from 1993, and Anima, something like that, from 1996, respectively. When reviewing the EP, AllMusic said, in retrospect, Opiate seems a little haphazard, but it's possible to hear the seeds of Tool's oppressively bleak cerebral metal. Bleak. That's a word. I would just like to pause here and say that Opiate is incredible, so don't listen to AllMusic in that regard, but, they're it's angrier. That's the point. So while these angry and aggressive projects were all received by the open arms of thousands of fans, it was only after Tool, all this, that Tool would create the masterpiece of emotive and thought-provoking musical art known as the album Lateralus. This album would win them critical acclaim and showcase a title track that calls the listener into another plane of high existence and allows insight into the inner workings of the vocalist's thought process and worldview. And my own, really, help me cement the person speaking's. The concepts put forward in the song Lateralus should be adopted by all who hear it, and dissecting the lyrics and musical structure will identify why it is such an incredible work of genius. I'm also going to stop right here and say that another thing that's just going to make this video differ a little bit from my others is that I'm also going to talk about the music itself, because it is important because of the way they do it. And you might have seen a lot of videos like this on YouTube already, but a lot of them do not go into the history of some of the things that Tool talks about. and none of them do. This track opens with a seemingly simple melody which draws the listener in using a slow, gentle build-up. The vocalist, Maynard Keenan, begins singing the first lines of the song. Black, then white are all I see in my infancy. Red and yellow then came to be, reaching out to me, lets me see. These colors correspond to the Aboriginal concept of the medicine wheel and symbolize many different things. Nicole Bell writes in Education Canada, the wheel drawing simply begins by making a circle. Superimposed on the circle are 4 equidistant points. These points symbolically identify the power/medicine of the 4 directions, east, south, west, and north, using 4 different colors. The final drawing resembles a compass for human understanding. Around the spirit world of the 4 directions is the Creator above and Mother Earth below, whereby a 3-dimensional sphere is created, which mysteriously contains, reflects, and possesses within itself the perimeters and powers of the entire universe, indeed of reality itself. That is from Article 54, I believe, page 14. The 4 colors are black, white, red, and yellow, and their place in the song becomes increasingly clear as it progresses. White is symbolic of balance and respect, and black is symbolic of interconnectedness according to these Aboriginal concepts, which Maynard says it's the first thing a human must learn in their infancy. Then comes yellow, which is relationships with others, or interrelationship, which would be relationship with self, and red, which is final completion and wholeness. The fact that Maynard references Aboriginal culture to make his point is also significant, as another theme of the song is that of both creation and connection with the past. The circular imagery of the medicine wheel is equally relevant, as I talked about in my dissection of the song Sweat, which hopefully you can see over here. Sweat had this very negative view of all life is but a dream, and it's a spiral, and it keeps happening. Seems like I've been here before, right? And so this song is also similar to that, except it takes it to a much more positive level, in that it is a spiral and it is a circle, but it's going out. It's progressing. We're going somewhere. While we're still spinning, we're still going. So to make my point, you're looking at a spiral, a little dot moving in a circular motion. But then, when you turn it a certain way, you see that it is circling and moving in a specific direction. It's going somewhere, down or up, or left and right, whatever it is, right? So that's basically the difference in perspective between Tool's earlier bleak cerebral metal and this much more positive music and lyrics. So the next line goes, as above, so below and beyond I imagine, drawn beyond the lines of reason. Push the envelope, watch it bend. The first part of this is a direct reference to and subversion of something called the Hermeticism. I think I'm saying that right. The esoteric doctrine in their book Gnosis and Hermeticism from Antiquity to Modern Times. That's a mouthful. The adherents of this tradition, Hermeticism, emphasize the importance of inner enlightenment or gnosis, a revelatory experience that mostly entailed an encounter with one's true self as well as with the ground of being God. From Gnosis and Hermeticism from Antiquity to Modern Times. This tradition is greatly influenced by something known as the Emerald Tablet, a part of which, when you translate it from Latin, reads, "That which is below is like that which is above." Now, the Emerald Tablet is a very strange, and I believe it's partly symbolic and partly a physical thing, and it has been studied by many different people. But Maynard takes this idea of that which is below is like that which is above, which is almost a kind of, almost a satanic idea. I'm not entirely sure, but it's not necessarily good. But he takes it and turns it on its head by implying there is something beyond just up and down, but an even higher state of being, which would be, according to the Hermetic faith or whatever, that of walking with God. Or, I'm saying God, it's a broad term. I myself am a Christian, but as Maynard and a lot of other artists I like promote this idea that every single person's journey in their spiritual life is different from that of anybody else's. And so a lot of the group thinking of different things, I think that you should go on your own journey, go on your own walk with God. But that's just my opinion, and this is all just my opinion. So, let's continue. The second part of these lines is straightforward and states that the singer, and therefore the listener, should be pushing boundaries and attempting to move mountains. He says, push the envelope, watch it bend. Push the envelope is a commonly used phrase for doing something controversial or outside the normal standard. Which leads to the chorus of the song, or at least the implied chorus, as progressive metal music often has no real hook, but is instead meant to be listened to as like an experience. He sings, "Overthinking, overanalyzing separates the body from the mind, withering my intuition, missing opportunities, and I must feed my will to feel my moment, drawing way outside the lines." Now, one of the most important issues in kind of introspective philosophy is the relationship between one's mind, soul, and body. And Tool is trying to tell the listener that overthinking their life and their actions is separating that which must remain together to keep your conscience and spiritual intuition intact. The mind, body, and soul must unite, not divorce, or the regretful human will realize with the clarity of hindsight that they have missed their moment or opportunity to truly live. This chorus is backed by, pounding guitar and intense drumming before taking the listener back down to earth when the first verse is repeated with slight variation. Then comes a repeat of the chorus before we get to the following lyrics. Feed my will to feel this moment, urging me to cross the line, reaching out to embrace the random, reaching out to embrace whatever may come. This expresses a desire to break free of the internal and external boundaries so the person can truly be free and embrace all life in happiness and in hardship. It symbolizes a maturing of the soul as it realizes what it truly wants. Then Maynard intones, I embrace my desire too. I embrace my desire to feel the rhythm, to feel connected, enough to step aside and weep like a widow, to feel inspired, to fathom the power, to witness the beauty, to bathe in the fountain, to swing on the spiral. So here you get a lot. First of all, take a look at how inspiring these words are. You embrace your desire to feel the rhythm. So first off, what do you got? You've got this idea of just taking in the music. And this song almost has a dual meaning of they're telling you how to listen to their music. Don't overthink it, don't overanalyze it. But they're saying to me, okay, goodbye. Then they're also telling you a very important thing about life. You need to embrace your desire to feel the rhythm, to feel connected enough. To feel connected enough. So connected that you are able to just break down, step aside, and weep like a widow. And that is symbolic of, loss and, pain, suffering. But the sadness, there's beauty in that. And that's what he's trying to say, is that to step aside and see the beauty in all things, to feel inspired, to fathom. Can you fathom the power? Can you fathom the incredible power of this. Look around you. Look around at anything near you, and you can see this design in anything and everything. And someone once, and they were not Christian, they were actually arguing with me, but they explained it in a very, very good way. They told me to look at a building, and they went, did a creator put that there? No, we did, because we have the knowledge. And you look around and you see how humans themselves screw things up constantly. But if you look at a tree, and you're like, wow, there's so much design there. Something put that there. It didn't just spontaneously erupt out of the ground. It had to grow. It had to become what it is. It had to be nurtured. It had to be created. And that is incredible. And so you are feeling inspired enough to fathom the incredible power, to witness the incredible beauty. And then he says to bathe in the fountain. And this reminds me a little bit of Invincible, when he says to bathe, when he talks about the fountain of youth. Or he says Ponce de Leon, which is the guy who discovered the fountain of youth, supposedly. So the fountain of youth is symbolic of staying forever young. And in this case, it would be a mental state, not literally young. Because, Tool they seem to accept the inevitability of death in their songs like Vicarious and stuff. You have to remain a child in thought. So in the Bible, and this is a reference that maybe not everyone will relate to, but in the Bible it says your mind must become that of a child. And there's one thing that children do that adults do not, that I have trouble doing as a teenager, and that is having faith in something. You see, kids do not make a distinction that most adults do. And that is a distinction between spiritual or false or imaginary and material, realistic, and earthly. Because a kid can look at a tree and see a tree and also see an Ent from the Lord of the Rings. And they can believe that it's both. It can be both. It could be the home of this grove can be both just a grove or a home to a spirit or to a god. This state of faith in more than just yourself, in things beyond what just you with your small brain can comprehend. And as you get older and more cynical and more just generally terrible, you just start to separate it. And that is, again, another idea of the analyzing and separating of the body and the mind. You're separating the material from the immaterial. And so he's saying to bathe in the fountain to stay young. And that's my interpretation of it, but I find it to be a very, very useful one. To bathe in the fountain. To swing on the spiral. And this is something that is so, so important. Once you hear something, most Tool fans will already know about this. I was going to say real Tool fans. I'm such a gatekeeper. Most Tool fans already know about this, which is something called the Fibonacci Sequence, and I will get to it in a minute. But he says swing on the spiral 3 times. Then he says swing on the spiral of our divinity and still be a human. And we are created in the image of the Creator. The Creator wants us to be the personification of it. We're the glory personified. We're the moon to the sun. That's pretty good when you've... Move on. We're the moon to the sun, metaphorically speaking. We're supposed to reflect the glory. And so we're created in the image, right? At least according to my belief system. Now, this is when the soul moves from understanding to all-out action, and then to contentment. Because that is the idea of this song. It is something beyond materialist. It is something beyond materialistic in general. It's something grounded. Grounded in that which you cannot comprehend. The random. I'm reaching out to embrace the random. It's very, very powerful. The listener must get to the point of spiritual awakening as they come to the realization that life is short and they only have so long to live before the rhythm leaves their body and they die. In the time they have, they need to realize, their spiritual potential. Open their eyes. Truly see. Prying open my third eye. Another Tool reference if you don't get it. Maynard brings the point across with his poetic lines when he uses not simply happiness as a backdrop, but also sadness. He balances it. He uses creative inspiration and the divine which dwells in all those made in the image of the Creator. And I love it so much. This might be my favorite song of all time. So then we get to an extremely heavy part. Not extremely heavy, but probably the heaviest part of the entire song. And he goes, "With my feet upon the ground, I move myself between the sound." So, again, it's this balance between the material and the immaterial. He's got his feet planted in the ground. The material, you're down to earth. But you're moving yourself between the sound. Now, you can only hear it. You can't see it. Seeing is believing? Screw that. It's not. You can hear it, can't you? The wind is doing stuff. I can't see it, but sorry. So he moves himself between the sound, and he opens wide. He says, "I open wide to suck it in. I want to absorb the creative energy of the collective cosmos." It's mind-boggling how deep and influential this song was for me personally, and hopefully for you as well, because Lateralus might be, my favorite Tool song. So he opens wide to suck it in. I feel it move across my skin. It's a part of me. I'm reaching up, all right? I'm trying to attain something higher than what is put before me. I'm reaching up and reaching out. And so when you think about the way this song keeps on personifying and glorifying the spiral, the circling motion, you start to see how circling is going up. It's not going down. I'm reaching up and reaching out. And when you hear what the Fibonacci sequence is, you will see that it's not just going up. You're going up in bigger and bigger amounts. And it's really cool. So I'm reaching up, I'm reaching out. I'm reaching for the random or whatever will bewilder me. Following our will and wind, we may just go where no one's been. We will ride the spiral to the end and may just go where no one's been. He actively wants to be bewildered. You want to be shown how small, how insignificant you are in comparison to the universe, and realize that you are not God. You are not a God. You are just a part of this vast ecosystem where everything has a purpose and a place. And it's incredible how the design works out. It's mind-boggling. And then he says, spiral out, keep going. He's pushing you on because he's trying to get the listener to understand what he's saying. At least the way I interpret it, he starts yelling in this part. He says, spiral out, keep going. Spiral out, keep going. Spiral out, keep going. And the last time he kind of screams it, spiral out, and it's such a powerful song. Now there is something else to go over, which is called the Fibonacci Sequence. It has been called God's fingerprint. It is basically a numerical sequence that when graphed, like put on graph paper, will create a spiral thing, and it's very weird. So basically, the idea behind the Fibonacci sequence is you've got numbers, and sometimes you start at 0, sometimes you start at 1, and you put numbers in a row. It's a sequence. Each next number is the sum of the two numbers behind it. So technically, it would go 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. I think that's 21, etc. It just keeps going and going and going, and it goes on forever. And when you graph that, you get a spiral. That's right. You get a literal spiral that just keeps getting bigger and bigger exponentially. And it's called God's fingerprint because it's everywhere in all living things. Every single living thing, if you look at your fingerprint, if you look at the cells of a tree leaf, if you look at the waves, you see the spiral symbol, which is with the Fibonacci ratio or whatnot, or the sequence, is all connected. And it's been called God's fingerprint. It's something that is kind of a part of everything. And it's very interesting. It's a part of every living creature's DNA, at least every unaltered creature's DNA. And it's just very intriguing subject matter. The entire album is phenomenal. But this song, Tool, Maynard James Keenan, good job. You single-handedly inspired me to think. Yeah. Thank you for that. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. I do dissections and analysis of different Tool songs, as well as lots of other content about like tabletop role-playing games if you're into that type of thing. But if you're not, just subscribe for the Tool content because I'm still rolling that out all the time. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for getting me to where I am. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join the Legion. And pay no mind to the lyrics of Jambi, which I will be dissecting sometime soon. Also, before I go, leave a comment in the description. Every time I say the same thing. Leave a comment in the comments section down below. That's what it's called. And suggest what song you would like me to dissect next. What Tool song, specifically, you'd like me to dissect next. And thank you very much for watching. Spiral out, guys. See you guys very soon. Thank you very much.